Now, we mentioned the UK before, but now out of control immigration means that Britain's population is now bigger than France's, and new figures show 10 million more people are due to arrive within a decade. That'll take it to 72.5 million people by 2032. Douglas, look, this is extraordinary. Where is the UK going to house all these people? Where are the plans?
There are no plans. They're not going to be able to house them. The whole thing will break down. I can say that with absolute certainty. You know, when net legal migration, was at about 300,000 a year 10 years ago in the UK, the Conservative government, the nominally Conservative government, said that they had a house building target of about 300,000 houses a year because there was a housing shortfall. That's brilliant. And of course, you don't have to be a maths genius to know that even if they did make that target of house building, which they never made, all that would happen would be that you'd keep on concreting over the countryside in order to put up houses for people from the rest of the world. Now, they failed at every one of the targets they had when migration was in the realm of about 300,000. And when you had net migration recently at almost 1 million a year into the UK, there just are no houses. And it seems to me, as far as I can see, that to the extent that there's any long-term plan of the political class in the UK, it's that migration should continue, legal and illegal migration, should continue at historic highs for as long as possible, and that the great future that Britain can look forward to is all of our green places being concreted over for very shabby, shoddy, ill-built houses to be thrown up, and then we can all remind ourselves how proud we are to be British. It's not my dream for the future of my country of birth. I don't think it's the dream of many British people either. Obviously, you know, the people will have to speak at some point through the ballot box. But the problem in Britain is that every time they speak, their elected representatives ignore them. So it's enough to make one feel pretty pessimistic about the future of the country, I have to say.
Yeah, which is such a shame, but those figures are out of control. Now, before we let you go, Douglas, you have a new book coming out soon on democracies and death cults, releasing April 8. Tell us about it.
Yes, it's going to be out on April the 8th, available in the US, the UK, Australia, everywhere. If you can find a bookshop these days, you can get it in a bookshop. But if you can't, of course, you can order it online through all the usual routes. It's really the result of a lot of reporting and reflecting I've been able to do in recent years, particularly from reporting from the front lines of the conflicts in the Middle East, but also really focusing on what I regard as being that crucial question, which is what has gone wrong in countries like Australia, Britain, America, Europe, where we see particularly a younger generation coming up who seem not to be able to tell the difference between what I call democracies and death cults, between civilized, liberal-minded societies like ours and death cults who literally want us dead. Why has there been such an inability to realize that difference? And why has there been not one anti-Hamas protest of any size on the streets of Melbourne or Sydney, but every week, you can find the anti-Israel loons out on the streets screaming about a conflict in a far-off continent about which they know nothing. I think there's a lot that this tells us about Israel, but there's an awful lot it tells us about the rest of us too. So I hope everyone will pre-order it.
Absolutely. On democracies and death cults, releasing April 8, not to be missed. Douglas Murray, always wonderful to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.
Great to see you again.